So we're going to imagine an economy that produces only two goods. Obviously, our economy produces thousands and thousands of goods and services, but we're going to imagine an economy that only produces two goods, footballs and basketballs, which, of course, is very timely. I went to the football game tonight. Last night was the first night of the Yukon basketball season as the men and women took over Gamble Pavilion. I can personally attest that the traffic in stores was a little crazy as I had to drive through it right around 5:30 or so. And so basketball season is now in full swing. Football season is right in the midst of things. And we can imagine an economy that produces only two goods, basketballs and footballs. And we'll think about it in the first year that the price of footballs was $10 each. The price of footballs in the second year, so we're thinking of a 3-year period here. Second year, the price rose to $12, and in the third year, the price rose to $14. While with basketballs, they were $12 in the first year. Their price rose to $15 in the second year, and they rose to $18 in the third year. And in the first year, our economy produced 120 footballs and 200 basketballs. And produced the second year, it produced 200 footballs and 300 basketballs. And in the third year, it produced 180 footballs and 275 basketballs. So the first step is to try to figure out what is the nominal gross domestic product each year. Well, that's actually fairly simple. We're just going to multiply the price each year times the quantity each year and get the nominal gross domestic product. So year one, so this will be nominal GDP. Oh, spelled correctly. I've already made a little spelling mistake here. I don't know why I should do. So nominal GDP, year one, 10 times 120, $10, which is the price of footballs, times 120, which is the number of footballs we produced, plus 12 times 200, which is the price of basketballs, times the number of basketballs that we've produced. We add that all together, and of course, for our whole economy, they would take the price of every single good and service times the amount of that good and service that had been produced every quarter or every year, whatever period we're thinking of, and add them all up. And it's obviously thousands and thousands and thousands of computations to get all of that. And a little cheat sheet out here. The answer is, and you can work out the numbers yourself, hopefully you will. The number is going to be $3,600. And in year two, we just do the same thing. It's $12, which is the price in year two, times 200. So this is our domestic product of footballs. And our domestic product in basketballs is going to be 15 times 300. And so this is our production in year two in nominal terms, which is in year two prices. And that's going to be $6,900. And then in year three, we're going to see GDP of 14 times 180 plus 18 times 275. And, you can just use a calculator at home and plug this in and make sure that this is correct. But the answer is going to be 7,470. So this is the nominal GDP each year. If we want to know how much GDP went up between year two and year three, we just use a regular old percent change in this this part of the course. None of that midpoint method that drove us all crazy. So this would be 7,470 minus 6,900 divided by 6,900, and that is the percent change in nominal GDP between year one. Between year two and year three. Get out my little trusty calculator here. 7470 minus 6900 equals 570 divided by 6900 equals 0.082, which equals 8, well, it's actually 8.26, so that means it's 8.26%. So nominal GDP increased by 8.26% between year 2 and year 3 in this example. But as I mentioned, we're really interested in real GDP, not nominal GDP. So a real GDP, to calculate real GDP, we have to pick a base year. And of course, the easiest thing to do in this example is just think about using year 1 as our base year. So I will circle that in pink. Year 1 will be our base year. And the idea is to think about putting trying to calculate the production in each year using year 1 prices. And that is how a real GDP is calculated. A base year is set in terms of the real GDP that's in right now, that's being reported on a consistent basis by the government. Let me actually put this up here. Real gross domestic product is reported in terms of billions of 2005 dollars. So 2005 is the base year that's currently being used by the government to calculate real GDP, which means they take all the nominal GDP in the economy and they calculate how much would that production be if current production were happening at 2005 prices. And this allows us to compare over time to make sure that we're not capturing changes in prices when we see that GDP is bigger or smaller from one quarter to the next, but only looking at production. So we set everything to 2005 prices in terms of what the government is doing now. And in terms of our example, we're going to put everything in year 1 prices. So let's do that. So now we're going to calculate real GDP. Okay, so now we're going to calculate real GDP, which means we're going to calculate the value of all goods and services, final goods and services produced within the economy. In this case, only 2 goods are produced in our economy, footballs and basketballs. And we're going to put everything in terms of year 1 prices. So year 1, we had $10 times 120. And that was our production of footballs, plus $12 times 200. And that was our production of basketballs. And so the real GDP in year 1, in year $1, is $3,600. And then in year 2, we're going to again use the year 1 prices. So we use $10 times the number of footballs produced in year 2, which is 200. And then in terms of basketballs, we're going to take again year 1 prices and year 2 production. And so real GDP in year 2 is $5,600. And then finally, this is year 2, and then finally in year 3, we're again going to use year 1 prices, and we're going to multiply it by the amount of production in year 3. And again, we use year 1 prices, multiply it by the amount of production in year 3. And this gets us real GDP in year 3. And so now we can calculate the percent change in real GDP from year 1 to year 2 or from year 2 to year 3. Let's look at year 1 to year 2. which would be 5,600 minus 3,600 over 3,600. And let me do that again. So 5,600 minus 3,600 equals 2,000 divided by 3,600. And that is a 55.5% increase. And you can do that yourself, see that I'm right. And then from year 3 to year 2, it'd be 5,100 minus 5,600 over 5,600. And so 5,100 minus 5,600 is negative 500 divided by 5,600. And so that's negative 8.9%. So GDP fell 8.9, real GDP fell 8.9% between year 2 and year 3, or we would say year 3 real GDP is down 0.89%. We also can calculate the deflator for each particular year. The deflator in terms of in terms of year 1 prices.